Hey guys, welcome to part 4 of PHP front to back. Now in this video I want to get to arrays and then maybe loops. I'm not sure. There's actually quite a bit that we're going to go over with arrays, and I want to touch on everything, so I might have to put loops in the next video. Alright, but we'll see what happens. So we have our PHP sandbox folder, if you've been following along, and we have the variables.php file which we worked in the last video. Now we're going to create a new file, and we're going to save that as arrays.php. Okay, and let's throw in our PHP tags. And an array is basically a variable that can hold multiple values. So a variable that holds multiple values. Alright, and there's basically 3 types of arrays. So first we have indexed, we have associative, and we have multi-dimensional. Sorry, it's hard to talk and type at the same time. So let's first go over indexed. These are the easiest type of array, probably the most common. So let's say we have a list of people that we want to put into an indexed array. So what we would do is create a variable just like we would with a regular variable, and then we're going to set that to a special function called array, and then we can put in our names. Okay, let's say we have Kevin, Jeremy, and Sarah. Okay, so we have these 3 people that are stored in this one variable. Now if we want to access one of these, let's say we want to echo, let's echo people, oops, and let's say 1. So let's save that and see what happens when we run it. I'm going to go to localhost /php sandbox /arrays.php, and we get Jeremy. Now if you've never worked with arrays before, this might confuse you. You might be asking, why not Kevin? He's the first one. The reason for that is that arrays are 0 based. Okay, and pretty much, I'm pretty sure every programming language, they're 0 based. They start at 0 and they go up. So 0, 1, 2. So with 1 we're getting Jeremy. If we were to say people 0, then we get Kevin. Okay, so just try and remember that they're always 0 based. Now if we try to access people 3, which we know there isn't one, it's 0, 1, 2, and we try to run that, we get an undefined offset. Okay, so that's not defined. So let's go ahead and comment that out, and then we'll create another array, and this one I want to create an array of numbers, okay, because you can do different data types. These are obviously all strings. Numbers we could do without having quotes around them. Alright, so we have an array of numbers, and we could say echo IDs, let's say 2, and reload, and we get 12, okay, because that's in the number 2 position. Now there's also another way to create arrays. So let's say we want an array of cars, and you can do it without actually using the array function there. You can use just brackets. So if we go and we say Honda, Toyota, and Ford, and this is equivalent to using the array function and just putting Honda, Toyota, Ford inside there. We can access it the same way. So let's say cars 1, and I'm sure you guys know what we're going to get. We're going to get Toyota. Okay, so it's up to you what way you want to define arrays. I usually use this way, actually. I'm not sure why. I guess it's a little shorter, but you can use either way. Now if you want to add something to an array, that's pretty easy as well. So let's add a car. So this is 0, 1, 2, so we know that the next one is going to be 3. So we could do cars 3, and set that to, let's say, Chevy. Okay, and then down here, say cars 3, and we get Chevy. Now in some cases you're not going to know what index you're at, but you're still going to want to add to that array. So to do that, you could simply just do cars and then an empty set of brackets, and then set that, let's say, I don't know, BMW. Okay, so now if we go and we do 4 and reload, we get BMW. Okay, so you can choose to use the index. If you don't know it, you can just use some empty brackets, and that'll add it to the last one. Now when it comes to arrays, there's a whole bunch of different functions that you can use. I'm not going to go over all of them or even close to all of them because we haven't got into functions yet, but there are a couple that are very important to know. So one of them is count. So let's say you want to know how many cars you have, okay, in that array. So you can just use the count function and you can pass in cars. So if we save that and we reload, actually we need to echo it, and reload, and we get 5. Okay, so it counts these 3 plus these 2. Let's comment that out. Another one is print r, and this is basically echo for arrays. It'll actually show you the whole array. So let's throw in cars and reload, and you can see it just prints out the entire array onto the screen. So that's a very handy function for debugging when you want to see what exactly is in that array. Now you may want to take it a step further and look at the data type that's in there as well. For that, you can use var dump. This is a very popular debugging function as well. Okay, so let's pass that in, reload, and it shows us that this type, what this is an array. It has 5 values, and it shows us each key and value, and it also shows us the data type and the number of, in this case, the number of characters. Okay, so this is very handy. This pretty much tells you everything you need to know about not only the array, but all the variables inside of it, or all the values inside of it. And var dump isn't just for arrays. You can dump any variable and look at its data type and the number of characters. So now that's pretty much it for indexed arrays. There's not much more to look at. So now we're going to look at associative arrays. So an associative array allows you to define the key and the value. With index, basically the keys are the number, so 0, 1, 2. But with associative arrays, we can assign that key to whatever we want and any data type we want. So let's say we want an array of people. So we're going to say array just like we would normally, except we're going to define a key. So let's say Brad. We'll use that as the key. And then let's say the age we'll use as the value. Okay, so you can see we're using the string as a key and we're using a number as a value. It could just as well be the other way around. Alright, and let's add a couple more here. So we'll say Jose and set him to 32. And let's set William to 37. Alright, now if we want to access, let's say Brad's age, we could do echo people, and then we want to use brackets just like we did up above with indexed arrays, and we want to put in the key, which is going to be Brad. Okay, so the key is Brad, and then it'll print out the value, which is 35. Okay, let's create another one called IDs, and we'll use the other syntax, which is using just brackets, and let's set IDs to strings. Okay, so we'll set the ID of 22 to Brad, and let's set 44 to Jose, and 63 to William. And then if we want to echo, let's say we want to find out the name of a certain ID, then we'll do echo IDs, and then let's say 22, reload, and we get Brad. Okay. Now if we want to add to an array, an associative array, we can do that as well. So let's say we want to add to people. We'll say people, and we'll set a name here. We'll say Jill, and we'll set her age to 42. So now if we echo out people and Jill, it gives us 42. Okay, and we can just as well use print R. Okay, now you may be asking why, you know, we have people up here and why it's working for this one, because we're just basically overwriting this people with this one. Okay, so that's how it works. Let's reload this, and it shows us the array with the key and the value. Alright, and we can of course use var dump as well. And there we go. So those are associative arrays, not too difficult. Now the last type of array we're going to look at is multidimensional. Okay, so basically what this is, it's an array within an array. So let's say we have a variable cars. We're going to set that to an array, and then within that we're going to set other arrays. So we'll go array, and let's put Honda, and let's say we also want to put the number of cars that they have in stock and also the numbers that have been sold. So we'll say 20 in stock, 10 sold, and this should be a comma. Okay, and then we'll just copy that and let's paste it in 2 more times. This will be Toyota. Let's say we have 30 and 20, and then this will be Ford, and let's say we have 23 and we sold 12. Now when we echo this out, we're going to say cars, and we're going to have 2 sets of brackets. Okay, so the first one is going to be which one of these we want. So let's say we want Toyota. That's in the 1 position. This is 0, 1, 2. And then which one of these we want. Let's say we want the name, and that's going to be position 0. Okay, so if we reload that, we're going to get Toyota. If we want to get, let's say, the number sold, which is this, that's going to be still in the 1 position for the array, and then 0, 1, 2. Okay, so we want 2 for the second. So let's save that and reload, and we get 20. Okay, so that's how multi-dimensional arrays work. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and stop here. We don't have the time to do loops in this video because I'm trying to keep these videos under 15 minutes at the max. So in the next video we're going to take a look at for loops, while loops, and also for each loops, which we use to loop through these arrays. Okay, so we'll get to that in the next video.